Greetings, airy, talkative, agile Gemini. My name is Eliane Nicole. I'm your astrologer and tarot card reader. And now I am going to do the December 2020 forecast for the sign of Gemini. Congratulations, Gemini. You made it to December of 2020. What an accomplishment. I'm going to start with a tarot reading, and in the second half I'm going to talk about broad strokes of the planets. I encourage you to follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole, where I will continue this conversation throughout the month and fill in more and more details in my stories and as my feed as the month unfolds. But I like to give people a taste of what to expect. And as we enter the month of December, Gemini, we see a man. You have the King of Wands reversed. So this is a man, and he is not taking action right now. He may not know what action to take. He may be just feeling unmotivated, and he may just be an asshole. Sorry, just kidding. Covered by the Knight of Swords reversed. So this is describing a man who is embattled, possibly argumentative. And you're crossed by the Two of Swords. So it looks like this month, the Two of Swords is in the cross position. Upright, this is what this card looks like. But crossed, it has to do with what the Kabbalists call your tikkun. So that's your karmic correction in this cycle. And it has to do with a relationship. And it has to do with maybe someone isn't revealing everything about themselves to you, perhaps, or they will be revealing something about themselves to you that you hadn't seen prior, something like this. And the basis of the situation, the Eight of Rods reversed. So this has to do with possibly delays in travel or a trip or a journey. It could have to do with things slowing down. It could have to do with, taking some things off your to-do list, a pause of some kind. What's leaving is the Six of Pentacles reversed. So this is a contract or negotiation where someone felt like they weren't getting their fair share. What could come into being, the Queen of Cups reversed. So this is a woman around mid-month. She's looking very, she's emotional, maybe obsessive. Maybe her feelings are hurt. Maybe she's falling out of love. The Queen of Cups reversed can be any of those things. What will come into being, the Empress. So this is a woman mid-month, a woman who is feeling very creative, or very fertile. If you're trying to get pregnant, this is a great card for pregnancy, but otherwise it represents the creative principle more metaphorically. This is a woman in her power, in her sexiness, in her full womanhood in bloom. Fears or insecurities, the Emperor. So this has to do with a male authority figure. This could be a boss, a landlord, a husband, government official. It could be the patriarchy in general. Others see you as the Hierophant reverse. So this is maybe breaking a commitment of some kind, separating from an institution or a person related to an institution. Your positive feelings around the end of the month, it looks like you feel very positive about holding the fort down, about standing your ground, protecting your territory. Your territory may be your heart, it may be your home, it may be something else, but you look strong and guarded and protective and feeling good about it. And at the end of the month, we have the Page of Pentacles. And so for those of you who have children, this could be some good news around your child and their school or education. It looks like a very responsible child. And for those who don't have children, it looks like at the end of the month, you will be receiving a new opportunity of some kind around business or finance. And so that's the tarot overview for Gemini for the month of December. And now I'm going to talk about some of the planetary transits. Not all of them, because there's way too many, but I do want to give you some broad strokes. So December 1st, Mercury is moving into Sagittarius. Sagittarius opposes Gemini on the zodiac. So anything that happens in Sagittarius is always really important for Gemini. Gemini always has a lot to learn from Sagittarius transit. It really highlights learning and growth. And so with Mercury moving into Sagittarius, it will be moving into your 7th house of relationships and marriage. So for those of you who are married, this is going to create very dynamic conversation with you and your spouse. Gemini and Sagittarius it's fire and air. So those are complementary elements. Air can fan fire and make it shine brighter. But they're also opposing energies. And so that tension can exist as well. It's not bad or good. It's not something to judge. It's just energy. Mercury and Sagittarius in general, I think we are more philosophical in our communication. I think that we are more faithful. We are more optimistic. In general, it's more focused on the big picture. Sometimes the details get lost during this transit. So it's not the best time for detail-oriented work, but it's a great time for thinking about long-range goals and plans and targets and things like that. December 7th, Pallas Athene is moving into Aquarius. And this is significant because there's a big shift in energy going on for you from the 8th house to the 9th house as the year comes to a close. And this is a very welcome shift in energy. The 8th house, which is a house where most of the planets have been for Gemini in all of 2020. It's one of the most, deep houses to go through transits in. It's very deeply transformational, and as 2020 has been for you, I'm sure. But now all of these planets are moving into the 9th house, and I love the 9th house. I'm a Gemini rising. I'm looking forward to this movement personally. The 9th house is the house of God, and it's the house of spirituality, and the house of religion, and the house of higher truth. And it's also the house of, international travel and exploration and cross-cultural experiences. It's also the house that rules publishing and broadcasting, where that's applicable. It also rules higher learning. And so in general, we are entering a phase that's much more focused around those themes than the themes that we've been going through for the past 2.5 years of eliminating and letting go and digging deep and having to deal with the dark and the taboo and all the stuff we've been dealing with, which I don't have to go over for you again. I'm sure I've been talking about it all year long. But so Pallas Athene, if you remember, she was with the Capricorn cluster earlier this year, May through September, and they were all huddling and strategizing, and we couldn't move forward with anything, and we were having to reflect and review and recalibrate, and everyone felt so stuck. And if you remember correctly, Pallas Athene was the first one to go direct. And so she was kind of making the first chess move as the energy was starting to kind of shift and move forward. And, the forward movement is bittersweet. It's great because we're moving forward, but then there's also, for the collective, there's definitely that element of the final death march that's going on, and we're in it. But the good news is that once Pallas Athene moves into Aquarius, it's like vision for the future. There's strategy, there's innovation, there's innovation in science, there's innovation for the collective. There's strategies and really, smart thinking. And so it's an interesting time. Pallas Athene will be there from December 7th until March 7th. December 14th is the total new moon solar eclipse. And that's also in your house of marriage and relationships. So now you've got Mercury and the new moon there. And so this is a time to set intentions around what you want in your marriage or in any significant one-on-one partnerships in your life. It could be a business partnership too. Sagittarius it's like whatever you do, whatever goals you set, it's like you set your target under that Sagittarius new moon and you can hit that target. For you, you know, I think that there's a lot of faith and optimism that is coming with this new moon. And I encourage a new moon ritual. And December 15th, Venus is moving into Sagittarius. And so this is Venus, the planet of romance, moving into Sagittarius. And Venus in Sagittarius can be a tease. She is adventurous in romance. Sometimes it can be a wanderer, you know. It can be more about universal love than one-on-one relationships sometimes. We are very attracted to the adventure and to stimulation. While Venus is in Sagittarius. And in general, there's this theme developing where relationships and what we consider the ideal relationship or the ideal dynamic in a relationship is shifting for the collective. And obviously that shift in the collective is going to be affecting our individual relationships too. So more on that later. December 15th, Chiron is going direct in Aries. And so this is really important. This is the time when we really start to heal as a world, heal as a nation, heal in our personal lives as individuals. And for Gemini, Chiron is in the house, the 11th house of friends, business associates, groups, organizations. And so if there's healing with friends that need to take place, this is the time where it's probably going to start to happen. For the 5 days leading up to the station and for the 5 days after, we are all going to be feeling very vulnerable, very sensitive, very raw, very exposed. Wounds, old wounds could be stirred up. This is coming up so because now is the time to heal it. And so this is an important time for healers. If you are a healer, a therapist, a doctor, an astrologer, a tarot card reader, a Reiki master, energy work person, Akashic records, whatever your mode is, it's an important time for healers. The world needs us, needs you. All different kinds because everyone has different ways. But this is going to be stirred up, and this is going to be a bigger theme for 2021. I'm going to talk more about in the videos I'm doing for 2021. I'm going to do year overview videos for each of the signs, and so I'll get more into this then. But Chiron is an important player in 2021 for reasons that I will talk about more in those videos. December 16th, Saturn moves into Aquarius. This is significant. Saturn has been in Capricorn for the past 2.5 years. While Saturn has been in Capricorn, it's been in your 8th house, our 8th house, Gemini rising. It's moving into the 9th house. So the 9th house, you know, there could be higher learning, you know, going into a university or going into a more serious study or practice with your spiritual program in some way. It can also mean international study or travel. The limitations that could be brought about by this could be maybe for some people who are in a belief structure or belief system, if you're afflicted, you could be feeling limited or enclosed by that and wanting to expand beyond that. So there's things like that going on. In general, Gemini, it's a great time to get a reading so we can go into more depth and detail about this Saturn being in the 9th house for the next 2.5 years. It's a significant shift. And then it's being caught up to by Jupiter and the Great Conjunction, which I'm going to talk about that more. But first, I want to talk about Juno moving into Sagittarius. And Juno moving into Sagittarius reminds me of like this Venus and Sagittarius energy. Venus is just for the season, but Juno is going to be there almost all the way until the end of 2021. So Juno is a major player in 2021. Again, I'm going to talk about that more in the 2021 overview, year overview videos that I'm going to be doing next. But for now, I just want to say At this time, our concepts of commitment are going to begin to expand. Our definition of monogamy as a collective may not be as structured anymore. We may be putting together new theoretical pictures of what the ideal relationship is. Relationship law and justice is going to be emphasized. There are differing views of fidelity that are going to be explored. One or both partners in a marriage could be wanting freedom. And for people who are single, your ideal of what you want in a marriage or relationship, it's a cultural shift that's going on. It's going to be affecting us all individually in different ways. There are many different ways that this archetype can manifest, and that's why one-on-one readings are always the best. But here I just say the ones that come to the top of my mind immediately, but I don't by any means cover all the possibilities. What I will say is that that's moving into your house of relationships. So I think that this is a very significant topic for you. And for some of you, you will be getting married while Juno is in there, or engaged, and for some, partnerships will be separating, So it depends on how the Juno in your natal chart is placed, and how, so again, I encourage you to come to me for a reading so we can look into it specifically to your chart. December 19th, Jupiter is moving into Aquarius, and Jupiter in Aquarius, this is big improvements. Jupiter has been in Capricorn. It was in its detriment. Jupiter is much more dignified in Aquarius. This is going to be a year, a much lighter year, a breath of fresh air in many ways compared to 2020. Not that it's going to be an easy year, obviously. Like I was just saying with the Chiron stuff, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place still. And there's, we have our own new transits for 2021 that are coming up, that are different than 2020, but challenging in their own way. And I will be talking about those in the 2021 year overview videos that I'm going to do next. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I just want to talk about that Jupiter's expansion and grace. Aquarius is progress. It's progressive ideals. So we're going to see expansion in progressive ideals, expansion in humanitarian ideals, expansion in scientific innovation. We will also be seeing expansion in social systems and things like this that benefit the greater good, while Jupiter is traveling through Aquarius next year. Big reform, big improvements, big progress, all of that. And with Saturn also there may be power struggles between what is the best way to get there, what is the right way to rule. Saturn and Jupiter are both rulers, but I'll get more into that in my December 2021, in my year overview 2021 videos. But December 20th, Mercury moves into Capricorn. This is a very business-minded Mercury. Mercury, the planet of communication, the planet of how we think, how we speak, how we write, how we listen. In Capricorn, this is a good time to start writing your business plan for next year. Any kind of, material realm responsibilities that need to be handled, this is a good time. This is a good Mercury to think clearly, to make the proper plans, to just think in a business-like, realistic, kind of pragmatic way. December 21st, the sun also moves into Capricorn, so it will be there until January 19th, so wish your Capricorn friends happy birthday. But yes, this time of the year highlights traditional values, conservatism, planning for the future, hard work, discipline, commitment. Sometimes it can be concerns around social status, ambition. All of these things come up under Capricorn. And the Capricorn sun for you will be traveling in your 8th house. And so I think that it's going to be a final time to kind of go over all of the themes that were big for us in this year of 2020 and process that as well with Mercury in Capricorn and the Sun in Capricorn after Jupiter and Saturn have just moved out of that house. So it's an interesting time. You can really see this shift, this clear shift of energy that's happening for us. And it is so much more in our favor, dear Geminis, let me tell you. And so December 21st is the Great Conjunction, when Saturn and Jupiter form the Great Conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius. And this is happening in our 9th house, which this is beautiful. I couldn't be really more thrilled with the placement. I think that this is one of the most auspicious and beneficial placements for the Great Conjunction to be happening. And this is kicking off another 20-year cycle and a 200-year air cycle for humanity. And so there could not be a better time to get a reading. I really encourage you, Gemini, to get either a winter solstice or a New Year reading where we kind of look at all of this for you and, you know, really reflect and contemplate what this means and how it can, you know, elevate you to the highest potential in your journey right now. And let's see, December 29th, finally, the full moon in Cancer. And that full moon of Cancer will be happening in your house of finances and resources. So it will be bringing illumination to that area. The full moon is in Cancer at the end of the year. It's really encouraging us to stay home and be cozy and just with our family during the new year, I believe. And it's also just really like, you know, it's making all these really aspects to Uranus and Ceres and Lilith and Venus. And I just feel like there's this real illumination about the rise of the divine feminine that's happening at the end of the year. And it's been something that's been building for a while, but I think that the awareness around it is going to be very great at the end of the year, heading into the new year, that this is like where, you know, the future is headed. And so, yeah, that's my December 2020 overview, Gemini. If you liked it, give me a like. If you didn't like it, give me a don't like. Please subscribe to my channel. If you have not already, please share this with other Geminis that you know. Please follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole, where I will continue the conversation that I've started here, filling in more details as the transits unfold in my stories. I do day-to-day things, talking about like where the moon is and what that means for us. And then in the feed, I talk about the planetary ingresses as they're happening, filling in more details to what I started with here in these videos. So I encourage you to join my community there. And I'm so excited for us, Geminis and Gemini rising. We have made it through a really deeply transformational time that has really, you know, raised our character to another level. And like now, you know, as we enter this 9th house, I'm just really looking forward to this period for us. And I would love to share that with you, how I'm approaching this phase of my 9th house. And anyway, yeah, I guess let me stop rambling. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful December. Look out for my, I have 2 more sets of videos coming out by the end of the year. I'm going to be doing the 2021 year overviews, and then I will also be doing the January 2021 overview. So look out for 2 more videos before the end of the year. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful December.